All right, guys, welcome back to Winter Wolf's Den. King Z is back in it, in the home base, in the home studio. Winter Wolf's in the same place he's always is. He's got a fresh new haircut. He took it all the way down to the scalp, and no sooner than he did that did he end up with like a 4-inch long scratch from his dog's cage. So he got all bloodied up in the making previous to this video. But King Z, how you doing, boss?
Doing all right. Welcome, everybody. Glad y'all can make it once again as we continue our road down The Last of Us as we follow our two favorite survivors, Joel and Ellie.
One's a little bit less favorite for me this week. Actually, they both kind of are, but I'll leave that up to our longer discussion down the line. Got some things to say about this one. But before we jump into that, I do have our weekly question. This one's a little bit less serious than the last couple weeks, a little bit more fun. More fun. King Z, at gunpoint, French toast or Belgian waffles?
French toast.
Oh, dude, he answered that quick. Did you guys see how quick he answered that? That was fast. He didn't have to think about it. Wow, it's like, dude, what about whipped cream and fruit?
Well, to be 100% honest, I am not a breakfast person. I usually skip breakfast or a grab and go or something super sugary with an energy drink. Back in my younger days, breakfast instead of a Snickers bar and a Mountain Dew. I mean, I treated my body like a playground growing up, so.
But now you're a little bit older, you're a little bit more mature, and every now and again, I'm sure you're taking the wife out for a nice Sunday breakfast every now and again. And when you do, it sounds like French toast.
Actually, more likely, it's Brenner. Like, do you do breakfast for dinner? That's what we
steak
we do
and
a lot,
eggs?
so.
Steak and eggs?
Pancakes, bacon.
Stuff
like that. Yeah.
All right, I got you. Nice. So usually when I go, now total disclosure for me, I would have gone with the French toast as well. But I'm an omelet guy, dude, through and through. You give me an omelet, you name any random ingredient, I've had it in an omelet before somewhere. Buffalo chicken, done. Macaroni and cheese, done. Shepherd's pie, done. I've had an omelet with all that kind of garbage in it. But for me, it gets no better. Meat lover's omelet, dude. A little bit of American cheese, bacon, ham, sausage. Call it a day. Good stuff there.
Can't do eggs. If you feed me eggs, you're going to see them back real soon.
Oh, dude, that's such a disappointment. I mean, if it doesn't kill you, you know, that's good. I'm glad it didn't kill you, but love me some egg omelets. It's just good stuff. It's comfort food. It's good for, and it's good for you if you don't put 6 pounds of cheese in it. But anyways, I babbled enough about breakfast so far, dude. Why don't we jump right into it?
Am I the meanest?
Show meta.
Am I the baddest mofo low down around this time?
Show meta.
And today's show meta is brought to you by Daddy Green's Pizza. If you don't like it, we'll make it twice.
I love that movie.
Today's is episode 6 of The Last of Us, named Ken. Its runtime is 59 minutes, probably about 43 if you cut out credits and opening credits. It is written by our favorite two writers of this series, Neil Druckerman and Craig Mazin, and is directed by Jesmal Zabac, Z-A-B-A-C-I. Wow, I can't even spell today. It's Z-A-B-A-N-I-C. That took a little second.
It did.
I'm
it's
sorry
okay.
if I pronounce your name wrong. I pronounce everyone's name wrong. I apologize. But today,
he's pronounced his own last name wrong, guys. I've seen him do it.
Oh boy. But today we follow our two favorite survivalists as they make it through. They've been traveling across country for 3 months as they reach Wyoming and they find Jamestown. But before we get in too deep, it's time to take it to the assault mode.
Assault mode? Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with our format, we do include lots of spoilers for The Last of Us as we go, so King Z is going to do some bell-punching stuff real quick. All right. I'm going to get this out of the way first. I'm going to get it out of the way quick. I'm not going to belabor and beat the dead horse on this one. We already know, as the weeks go, episode 3, not really part of this show. Having said that, I think this is the worst episode of the show so far. I don't even think it's close. I don't think that it's because last week ended with a couple of gut punches and a high-octane set piece that kept me riveted. I was bored this week for about 35 minutes. There were a couple of good emotional punches. We'll get into them in the assault mode, of course, but overall, I'm disappointed in some of the things I saw here. I'll say that performances were on point, as usual. I think they're making a couple of directorial and narrative decisions I just don't like. And I'm worried that those directions are now, they're going to kind of just springboard into future decisions that they're going to make for both of our main characters going forward. So I have some concerns. We'll get into that. But what did you think overall going into this? Where are you?
Going into this one, it's hard to say because I rewatched all the last episodes because I got home. As you can tell, I'm back in my home studio, meaning the wife is going to be watching with me, but she has been keeping up at weekly as we have. So we went and rewatched all from 3 through 5 yesterday, actually. Mm-hmm. So I still had those on my mind. So going into this one, I think they got to this point a little too quickly.
Yep.
But it's nice seeing how other people might live. I love the opening part of it. I thought that was pretty classic and stayed with par of the course. But I think we're definitely seeing a difference in direction on this one, and we're seeing a change in characters. I think that's why they brought in a new director.
Okay, dude, I gotta run into this section. Guns blazing, dude. I'm dropping 50 megaton truth bombs, from orbit. It's the only way to be sure, just to, ruin the infestation and just blaze out the colony. I think in a span of about 10 minutes in this episode, and this, I gotta just start here and then we can roll back and do the opening, because I did like the opening also. It was pretty funny. Thought it was, like you said, it was on par with things I would have expected from the show, just in terms of tone. Dude, who is this guy that's impersonating Joel in this episode? Like, this is exactly what people were concerned about getting into this show, that hiring Pedro Pascal was going to give us a good performance, but he's not he's not Henry Cavill. So he's not going to be the guy that makes the character stick to source material all the way through. And you're going to see that in this episode, guys, if you haven't watched it yet. But we already gave you the spoiler warning a little earlier if we're not cutting it. We're going to do it again now. There we go. We're punching bells. We get sirens and all kinds of stuff. This dude isn't Joel now. He's a wishy-washy bitch, hands down. And when you want to talk about certain pacing issues, about how they arrived at this point too quick, in the span of about 4 minutes in this episode, he has a complete breakdown, crisis of character and confidence, and then it gets resolved the next day by dawn. Through no intervention, through no Dark Night of the Soul, through no peer mediation with his brother, via flashback or effective flashback, I should say, because we do get a hint of something in there. But dude, this dude's not Joel. From at this moment, he is not. And then to double down just on that, I've been beating the Ellie drum for how many weeks now? 4? Who's this chick? She's obnoxious in this one. She's rude to people that she has no reason to be rude to. The humor doesn't quite land in most of the places for me. Not liking her at all. I think there's that pivotal moment where a certain choice needs to be made towards the getting into like the third act of the episode here, where she has to make a decision about who her guide's going to be going forward. I'm like, when did that happen anywhere in the game? And guys, we, King Z and I have been saying for weeks, if anybody wants to comment down below, keep us on track with some of the lore, just other points of criticism for the show or our show, whichever. We'd love to see the comments, always appreciated. But if there was a lore expert out there that loves this game, that maybe played the remaster a little bit more recently than I have, so it's been about 2 or 3 years, could you tell me at which point in the game it became Ellie's decision who she was going to roll with as she goes further west to find the Firefly base? Because I don't remember that, and I don't remember Joel crying about it after having a couple of fucking panic attacks to decide that he wasn't good enough to bring her anymore. I'm sorry if that slipped my mind and went over my bald ass head, but it did. And dude, I gotta take a drink. Dude, give me some opening thoughts in the assault mode there, because I'm a little pissed about this now the more I talk about it.
All right, so it finds me funny that you say that, because you've been talking over the last couple ones where it's like you don't want him to be a robot. He finally opens up, and now you're calling him a bitch. You're kind of going against what your own what you're asking for out of this guy.
Dude, no. Dude, hold on. Let me interrupt it and just rebut. Right? He can open up, and he can do that in places where it's appropriate, like when he sees Tommy. Spoiler alert. We already mentioned that. That we're doing spoilers. When he sees Tommy in the town, that's the first time he actually breaks into open face smiles and grins and hugs and everything else. Dude, that's fine. Like that's the not robot part that I want. What I don't need from this character is the every single time there's a quiet moment, I'm resting up against a tree and I'm clutching my chest because I'm having panic. And no, that's fine if that's who the character is in the source. That's not something that needs to be part of Joel now. That's not who he is. That's not core identity to this character at all. Being afraid for somebody in a danger situation, like the very beginning when they come across Tommy's group and it looked like things were tense, he can be nervous there. He can beg, borrow, and plead in that moment because that would be something that's core in character's identity. But the rest of that chest clutching bullshit, oh, it's just the cold air. Oh, hold on, I just need it. No. Dividing line right there. That's not the same thing. That's different. The seeing Tommy, the crying if Ellie got hurt kind of thing, that would be fine. The being emotional, being silent, kind of angry after Tess died, that's also non-robotic and that's appropriate to him. But the weakening of him just reminds me of basically the cucking that I've seen in characters like Kenobi and Boba Fett, and now we're trending really close to that kind of stuff. But continue your assault mode, dude. I apologize for the digression.
So, what you could say that it is clinical of what he's going through in the cytology realm.
Sure.
He's letting the walls come down and he's letting the emotions come in. Because remember in the very first episode, he was completely heartless when he was putting the kid into the burning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now he's letting people in. He let her in. And now the wall has to come down, and he's not used to these type of emotions, being afraid. So that could cause that chest to lock up, especially in his 50s. Which, yeah, I thought he was having a cardiac event at the time. And I thought that's how they're going to play the injury.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I thought that's how they're going to play the injury of how she has to take care of him, because it was winter time, and if you all know in the game, in the winter, she has to take care of him because he's injured, which we will see. So I thought that's how they were going to play it in this, so it would be less violent, a cardiac event, kind of easy to take care of someone who's had a cardiac event, like being shot. But I just see someone who finally opens up and the floodgate just rushed through him too quickly, and he didn't know how to adapt to it. So,
I mean, I guess...
And it is 3 months of them being together, too, that we didn't
That's true.
see. So there is
That's true.
3 months, and he could have changed a lot over that 3 months. Because everything seemed to start... Like, it probably... think of a soldier who's been shell-shocked. Every little tick, boom, they're jumping at shadows. They're having... So that could be what he's going through because of his loss that he had with his daughter. And now he has Ellie. And you do see the transfer in the way he views her. Even though he tries to play it off. You were right about how we didn't see the change from the night before to the next morning. So he said he thought at night, but yeah, there was no piece that put it together. And I mean, they can't show everything. You have to cut something. But overall, I think the episode stayed true to what a family reunion would look like in that type of situation.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah,
the Tommy stuff was fine.
And then the conversation of her and Joel in the bedroom was exactly from the game. That was the closest thing to the game that was in this episode, besides the HUD between him and Tommy. So overall, I mean, I think they did fine for what they're doing with the show. I mean, they have already watered down the show to begin with. So
Significantly. Yeah.
Except for in the last episode when we saw the Horde come after him, which was pretty nice.
Which might have been the best thing that they've done so far. And that's what I mean. I think I said this, in the early goings to the show too. I think the issue this show was always going to run into were going to be in the slower moments where they had to fill in the emotional gaps, the emotional beats that the game might not have offered up, or they might have had a different, more subdued set of cutscenes, or just a little bit like a slower part of the gameplay loop that might have filled in those kind of spaces here.
Yeah,
but this stuff here,
they have more time to expand on it in this, which that would account for a lot of this, because you wouldn't see it in the game, because they would cut that out, because one, when you're playing a game, you don't want to watch a 30-minute cutscene. You want to get in there and play as Joel or play as Ellie, because you play as both in the game. You want to get and accomplish your next mission. In watching the show, you're there for the ride. You're there to tell you a story.
You're a passenger. Right.
Yeah, and they're trying to expand upon parts that they couldn't expand on in the game. So there's also
True.
that.
No, I mean, that's a fair point when you take that into consideration. I think that to springboard kind of off of that, my complaint about how quick that situation's resolved between Joel's crisis of conscience, just to touch it to something you mentioned earlier about pacing and how fast things happen. I think we're starting to see now the ripple effect of episode 3's existence, where they took an episode off of the main show to do that, and where this show brings us now, we've gotten to the Tommy part, skipped over a major section of the game to end up where the episode concludes tonight. And I find that disappointing as well, because I think there was an opportunity here to see more of the town, because I really don't, with only 2 episodes left, right? Oh, wait, 3 left? 7, 8, 9.
9, yeah.
Right.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah. I don't think we're going back there. I don't. I think they're done. I think they stopped off, they found Tommy, they got a horse, and they're on the road. They stopped off just long enough to have Joel fake you out into thinking he wasn't going to take her the rest of the way. And I think that's disappointing, because that's a major segment of the game. That was a good opportunity to see how maybe Joel and Ellie decide that they don't want to go forward for a little while. They don't want to head west. You know, there were things to do along the way. You know, there was the entire Raider issue in the game to contend with, where maybe Joel's about to leave and Tommy begs him, as the alpha superhero, non-superhero, but superhero character, dude, we could really use an extra gun here. Like, we know you're a merc. Like, can you stick around? Some bad shit's about to come through. That there were opportunities to do cool stuff. But what do we get in this episode? We get Ellie running her trap, Joel's crisis of conscience, lots of walking and talking, and this was almost borderline a different kind of waste of my time. In my opinion, of course. A different kind of waste of my time than episode 3 was, because really nothing happened here except, like episode 3, they stopped somewhere and got a mode of transportation.
Yep.
We met Tommy. It accounted for nothing, because in the back of my head I was hoping, okay, so if we're following this new Joel, we're going to call him Joel Beta, because sorry, if he's sitting it out and Tommy's going to take her a part of the way, would that not have been an opportunity for Joel to have been doing stuff in the community? He's doing his sheep thing, he's doing his crafting thing, whatever. And then, he sees a dad and his daughter doing dad-daughter stuff, and he remembers Sarah. And then he feels bad that he let Ellie go. And in the meantime, Tommy and Ellie have run into some trouble on the road. And here comes Joel on horseback to save the day. Because that's what this character should be doing. He shouldn't be doing some Obi-Wan Kenobi, working in a slop house for 8 episodes, crying about shit, not doing anything proactive, and just sitting it out. And it's like, what decisions did he make here except to show back up at the stable and then give her a choice? If she said, oh, no, you're right, I'll take Tommy because he's 10 years younger and a better shot. Okay, show's over, guys. Tommy's in charge now. So it just don't, there's a lot. And again, with things like pacing, we cut out the Tommy community part. We know where the episode ends. We're going to do our jump around here thing, because I don't think there's a lot really to discuss scene by scene in this particular episode. So let's just get right at it then. The end of the show is Ellie and Joel getting to University of Colorado, finding out that
the Firefly headquarters was.
The Firefly, like medical and science base, big deal, right? It's abandoned, like the game. Like, they've already moved on to Salt Lake, I think is where they were heading.
Yep.
They had it up on the board. Yep.
Yeah, in which you follow the game. It's the same, your princess is in this castle. You gotta move to the
right.
next one.
Which is fine. It's not an issue. Like, that's narratively, that's what they do. They run into some trouble there. And if I'm not, I don't remember the game well enough to say for sure, but that's not the part in the game where Joel gets injured, if I'm not mistaken.
It was like they were on the road when they got injured, but this was a good place for that to happen.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if they're going to use this as Steve's group, because that's what they referred to it in the storyline, as Steve's group, as the group of people that injured Joel. And then later Ellie trades with to keep Joel alive by doing missions for them.
All right, so you kind of had that. So you were right about that, because I think that was one of your predictions from a couple of weeks ago about how they could condense a long timeline.
Finale. I thought it was going to be the season finale, so it's a little...
Oh, that's right. You were talking, but you mentioned Steve's group, because I remember you saying the name.
Yeah.
But, so, they leave him in that kind of predicament where he's stabbed in the gut, fending off an attack, when they're at University of Colorado and they're on the road. And I thought there were pretty good beats here too from Bella Ramsey, after Joel takes a tumble off the horse. When they finally reached a safe distance, she gets a little tearful. The music choice in that part was pretty good. It was like a little on the nose, but like kind of got you a little bit. So it was effective. But she's basically like, I can't do this. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Like, you can't die here. If you die, I die. Like, I'm out here in the middle of like the Wyoming wilderness. I will die. And then they cut to black. And in the game, like Kingsley is saying, they basically tell you there's this big time jump forward where she's basically taking care of him, nursing him back to health, doing the hunting, and then the trading is alluded to. And it takes months. It's like an entire winter season. It's like Django. Like, they go up in the mountains, they come down in the mountains in the spring. You know what I mean? It's like it's that amount of time passed.
Yep.
So they ended there. So the next 3 months, the next three episodes, how fast, what kind of breakneck speed are they going to have to use to tell this whole story?
I believe the next episode will be the DLC episode where we're going to get Ellie's backstory.
The girlfriend? Okay. And I think that might be a good time for it. So, I mean, I wouldn't bet against you on that. I like that.
Yeah,
okay.
This way, because she's going to be focusing on Joel, and you're going to see what her backstory is now of what got her to this point, and maybe when she got first infected and found out that, she has magic blood.
Right. Because I mean that's yeah, I remember you before. I don't think I said you didn't play the DLC, right? Back in the day. Yeah. It's basically her with her friend where she shares her first like teenage kiss kind of thing when they break into the mall in the quarantine zone that they're not supposed to go into, kind of thing. The friend doesn't make it out, but she does, obviously, because of the immunity kind of thing. So that actually wouldn't be bad.
I think we're going to see
that
a
wouldn't
little
be a
bit
bad
in
detour.
Fedra school and all that good stuff. So
yeah, because that's where she started that DLC. She was in like the Fedra dormitory, like doing the classes and sneaking out and being a teenager and shit. So I mean, I wouldn't mind that. But then if you account for that episode, you only have 2 left. So is then the last 2 episodes the big cannibal throwdown and then the end of the game, like at the end of the series? Is that it?
I think so. I think the cannibals will be the end of the season. And one of the things I was talking with, I forgot who I was talking with about, but with the poor fan reception of the second game, I think the longer they stay away from the content of the second game, the better the show's gonna do. I mean, look at Game of Thrones when they started getting episodes where they didn't have source material.
Off a cliff.
And if you're going to go into a deep story going where the fans who you are catering to, who you're pandering to in this, don't like it, why are you going to take the story there quicker? Because they're going to not like the series quicker.
You're 100% right. I mean, is that not what I've been concerned about since week 1? And when you started talking about, opportunities to stretch the game 1 story along through season 1 and into a prospective season 2 by ending episode 9 at the pivotal point where Joel is shot, because that skips, because if they end on the cannibal thing, it basically means they have to do the whole bit where Joel decides what to do with the Firefly scientists when he, spoiler alert again, succeeds in the mission to get Ellie there.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing is going to be an episode and done? Come on, guys. You've way, way, way done yourselves no service. Because like Kingsley said, this show is now heading into Game of Thrones territory, like the meme that's up on the screen right now. We got the horse drawing. The first 3 sections of this horse are done by like a master shaded in. And then as you get into that middle section, that last section, it's like a second grader did one, and then they just kicked it right down to like a preschooler to wrap it up. Like this is the risk you run into the more you alter source or that you try to get off the beaten path of what's successful. Dude, this show doesn't survive season 2. I'm sure of it now. Just with my own take on what I've seen them have Joel do here. They did that, in my opinion, to make it more palatable for what comes to him later. 100%. Like, it won't be shocking that the older, broken down guy gets done the way he does later on, because he's already made these admissions that he's no longer, a S tier kind of, hero. They've already told us this. So I do not have a good feeling about this going forward. I'm okay with the show now. Like, hopefully episode 7 bounces back and then they do something exciting in 8 and 9. But I think they skipped over way too much of the interesting part of the game to give us this hour-long episode where literally nothing happens. You know, we found Tommy, and what? Joel got hurt at the end, and what? Like, I mean, what else can we even break down about this episode? Like, if we wanted to do a 2-hour show here, like we have been, or an hour-and-a-half long show, what do we talk about in this episode beyond those 2 events?
The opening was pretty good, where they the older couple and watching their smart quips back and forth.
That was pretty funny.
Good.
I like that. They had a good back and forth.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the wife. The wife was pretty funny.
And then I have the background actor of the show in this. So I noticed them. I always watch the background artists because some of them do the funniest things. Like, you can go back to Star Wars and like you have 2 people who are literally dancing with their lightsabers as they're doing lightsaber battle.
Oh God!
You have people making weird faces. Like, they tell you not to look at the camera. If you look at Rogue One, you have a guy in the background whose head's completely turned towards the actor. He's there at a terminal. His head's completely turned in the background, watching the action going on over here, spiking the camera, like I'm doing right now, spiking the camera.
Yeah.
You never look directly in the camera unless it's called for like some type of effect. Usually it's in comedy when you actually spike the camera.
Right, fourth wall and stuff.
Yeah. So the background artist in this one, so they're riding into town and they had that great gimbal shot of them up above, and then it comes down and reveals the town. You have a guy with a shovel who's picking up wood and moving it from left to right with a shovel. And then he picks up another piece, while another guy is picking it up by hand and putting it onto a cart. He's there picking up with a shovel and moving like one piece by one piece.
Dude, I'm going to go back and look for that. Dude, I'm going to go back and look for that. Dude, I love stuff like that. One of my favorites, and this is unintentional, is remember the old movie Teen Wolf? Right?
Yeah.
With Michael J. Fox at the end of the movie, after he sinks the winning free throw, they cue the sappy, you know, not the "We Are the Champions" music, but they have some sappy "We Won the Day" music. And as the camera pans up and back about like the crowd coming down the stadium, the bleacher seats to get on the field to celebrate, there's one dipshit up in the stadium whose pants are unzipped and he hustles to zip them up real quick because you can see his underwear. It's hilarious. You can't unsee it because it's not center frame. So once you look for it at about 11 o'clock on your screen, if you ever go back to rewatch the movie, you'll always just be like, you'll always shoot up to see it. It's like when the stormtrooper in episode 4, when in A New Hope, when the stormtroopers are running in formation, he dings his head on the overhead door. I can't unsee it now from that part. Like, it's just burned in there now. It's just what happened. So you're right.
Another great one is Spider-Man. When Green Goblin shows up, there's a guy there and he's like, just amazing nice. Background artist. You gotta love.
Dude, now I'll have to go back and look at that too. Yeah. So the opening's kind of funny. I'll give you that. Sorry guys, I got the frog in the throat today. Apologize. They had a good back and forth there. I didn't like the Ellie robbed them. I thought that was kind of scummy. That was like the first that her swearing up in the house in the meantime in the first part was all right, but it's stealing rabbits and then swearing all over the place for the rest of the episode. Like, I don't mind it. Like, it's how people talk, but it seemed like they just laid it on thick. Like, at every opportunity that she could say something like aggressive or douchebaggy, she did. You know, so I mean, I just wasn't feeling that from her. Let's talk about this one scene, because there was a bit of tension for me at that scene where Maria rolls up on Joel and Ellie while they're crossing the plane, and they get kind of surrounded by the mounted troops, and they do the zombie thing. It's trope for zombie stuff where they have a diagnostic that they use to gauge whether or not you're infected. In this particular show, they happen to have a dog that apparently can sniff test infected and then shred them up if on command if you are. And I'm like, okay, well, wouldn't that get the dog infected? Maybe not. I don't know. There's no other infected animals that we've seen so far, so I don't know.
Not even monkeys.
Not even monkeys. We'll talk about that because I got a bitch about that too. So the dog, runs up and sniffs Joel, and we know he's going to be fine. But I'm like, oh, so do you sniff infected, and do you know if they're like infected but immune? Is that a thing? Because you shouldn't know if that's a thing yet, because she's rare. And is it going to bark her down and then, almost kill her? Is Joel going to shoot the dog with a pistol that they don't know he has? Like, what kind of shenanigans are going to happen here? So it was tense. So it was effective in that moment. So I did like that. We all knew it was going to be okay, but did you find that it was effective, like in the moment there? Like scoring wise, performance wise, and all that good stuff?
Oh yeah, it was fine. Like I said, I didn't really have a major issue with the show. I think everything went the way it should. I think the family reunion, because of the reason they left, that they played it a little different between Tommy and Joel. Like, happy to see each other, then the tension from Tommy leaving, and then of course him and Jenny is butthurt, and Joel being Joel at that point, and then the reconciliation, and Joel actually opening up about stuff which he didn't do before, which probably pushed Tommy away to begin with as well. So, but overall, the scene where they circled them, I think it's funny that she knew that was her Tommy's Joel right off the bat. Right. The part that got me, and my wife pointed out, where did they get the extra 2 horses that they rode in on? Because they all rode up on horses, surrounded them, and then they're taking them back to the town, and all of a sudden Joel and Ellie are riding on a horse. Where'd that
Were 2 of the other ones doubled up at that point?
Nope.
Oh, see, I didn't notice. Dude, I don't tend to notice continuity stuff like that until somebody points out to me. It's a weakness in my viewing ability, but in my head canon, maybe it was just like Fellowship of the Rings, where they return Two Towers, where they meet the Rohirrim and a couple of guys that died, so they happen to have a couple of open horses at the back of the column or some shit. But you're right, we saw them basically cross the horizon at towards us, and there were 8, 9 of them and kind of spread out. So yeah, there wasn't much of a crowd there for them to have any extra. So dude, okay. But like King Z said, the closer this show gets to getting away from source, it's like Game of Thrones. Next week, watch for the Starbucks cup up on a shelf somewhere. It's dude. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I watch the continuity. There's a lot of big crimes and continuity. One of them I noticed was a movie about filmmaking. It was kind of funny.
Maybe it was meta.
Time in Hollywood. And you'll notice where they have a scene and his cigarette keeps changing lanes.
Right.
It's fresh, and then it's down to nothing. Then it's halfway.
But now it's new. Yeah. Dude, true that. What did you think? They had mentioned a couple points here about the old system of government in the community. What'd you think? And any thoughts there about them just absolutely kind of trying to simplify it down that we're communists, but we're not communists, but we are communists, so let's just call it that. Yeah, that was a little heavy hand.
It's like we are communists.
Yeah.
It's like we live in a commune, therefore we are communists.
Yeah, but she also goes to great lengths to pointing out that I'm a democratically elected council member. So it's kind of like, I feel like they threw that shit in there. It's starting to crack for me a little bit with them keeping up appearances that this shit isn't trying to pander a particular message, So they give those statements on the show to a female character who happens to be a person of color, and they're running an idyllic society, and they have a character ask her if she's in charge, and she's, oh no, I got elected, but this is how we do things, to each according to their needs, from according to their whatever Marxism bullshit. So there's that. I'm like, that I just don't want to hear. It just doesn't need to be said. You just say, oh no, everybody chips in around here. We make sure people have what they need. If you need boots, we find boots. If you're hungry and we take care of you. It's a thing. But everybody chips in. Unless you're injured or infirm, everybody's down. And then you just don't have to say this. You just don't have to say the word, man. It's just no. It just rips me right out of the feeling of the game. Because then they repeat it again later when they're riding out of town on horseback, where Ellie asks for the history lesson.
Oh yeah, which
And I'm like,
which one's better? And it's like, well, some people want to own everything, and some people want
Right.
other people to own nothing.
right. And then of course he has to say, but I was I was just doing my job in the middle as a contractor. I'm like, well, dude, that belies having one or the other. It belies that 97% of people live in the middle of that. So yeah. I don't just keep it out. Keep it out. Like I don't need to hear politics unless it's a political show for me. It ruins stuff to a degree. But again, not enough. It's like a death by 1,000 paper cuts thing right now with this episode. Like it's not like it's a bad show. I wouldn't. We're not gonna put a thumbnail up that says that's it. I'm out. Like that's not what we're gonna do. But I just found those things obnoxious.
Yeah, and I mean, if you really want to break it down, let's break it down a little bit. The first government in the New World was a communist government, the Mayflower Patch, and what happened was not everyone pulled their weight. Some people took more than they should, and others didn't, and it failed. The Mayflower failed. If it wasn't for the help of the Native Americans, it failed, and then they changed their government after that.
Shocking.
A lot of people will say that they came and slaughtered the Native Americans, and actually they did. They slaughtered the other tribe because they partnered with the other tribe. It's funny how you fight your allies' battles for them. I mean, that's just how allies work.
Well, it's funny how history is a little bit more complicated than black and white is what it is. You know what I mean? There's some subtlety and some nuance there.
Native Americans were different tribes. They were tribal based, and guess what? Tribes battle. I mean, we could break this all the way down. I mean, we could take this all the way back to slavery, how slavery still exists today, and no one wants to combat it. And when someone did combat it, they voted them out of office. And the common form of slavery is sex trade. It's a common thing in the United States, actually. It's very heavy on the West Coast and in the southern states, to include the one I live in, especially during the first week of April. And if you know what happens in Augusta on the first week of April, it's Masters Week. Bunch of rich people. Guess that.
Shocking again.
But if you want to, I mean, with all this, like, but go back to my point. The first government in the New World was a communist government, and it failed. And in this show, they're painting it in the perfect picture. Because on paper, a communist government is the perfect form of government. Everybody's happy. Everybody gets what you want. The problem is people.
Everybody gets what they need.
Yeah.
Everybody gets what they need. Everybody doesn't always get what they want unless you're part of the Politburo. Then you get what you want. And that's always the scam inherent within the structure of the type.
The problem with a communist government, even a democratic communism, is people. Because eventually people want more than they want, and then they will find ways to beat the system to get more than they deserve.
Exactly. And see, now, and I'm going to use that as an opportunity to segue it right back into the show, because I think that what Kingsley said would have laid down very fertile ground to explore for the community in the show, where we could have taken a look at somebody that was trying to get something over on Maria and Tommy's group and the rest of the council, or expose corruption on the council. When we're walking into town, do we not see gallows in there? Like, did I not see that in there? Was Tommy working on scaffolding, or was there a gallows being built nearby? I thought I saw that. And I was like, okay, so we get some frontier justice shit that's applicable here in this town.
I was so distracted by the dude shoveling wood. I did not actually take that much time.
We might have to do a rewind, and I'll pop it in the comments tomorrow when the video goes up, because I thought I saw that. So I was like, okay, because that would also lead into how my vision of this post-apocalyptic world would work. Is a lot of things that we take for granted, civil rights, human rights, all these things, they tend to go the wayside when people's survival is on the line. You know what I mean? Like things like performative art, goes out the window in a lot of ways when these things happen. Things like, all the comforts and the creature comforts go away when disaster happens. So you might not necessarily get a trial by jury and be represented by a publicly appointed defender to run laws. It might just be like, nah, dude, we got 9 witnesses that saw you rob the granary. We're going to hang you now. That's just how this is going down.
It's like,
But you know what I'm saying? Sometimes Texas has some shit figured out. I mean, maybe they should plug into the grid. Maybe they shouldn't. Sorry, Texas. I love you guys, but still, this is like 2 winters in a row where people are frozen because, you can't keep the heat on. Like, sort this shit out.
There is
But
that.
having said... having said
You
that,
have a fast lane for the death penalty.
and do it, and rightly so for certain cases that are beyond refute in terms of evidence presented and things like that. But again, the evidence still needs to be presented. There is still that little hurdle to go. In this world, though, there's probably not a whole lot of motivation, obligation to kind of follow through with how, constitutional process might have worked, what's the cordyceps? I almost said COVID, for Christ's sakes. Good God, that's enough of that. But so I mean, we've wasted an opportunity here where we could have seen that system and its positives and its negatives in play, how it impacts Joel and Ellie's decision. Maybe they pull a Walking Dead where like they're part of the community, but now the community is like, well, actually we're short childbearing females. Maybe we need you for a year. And we're going to put you up and feed you and protect you. Like all the morally ambiguous stuff that goes in line with the dystopian fiction kind of stuff. But we got on the highway and we shot right past all of it to put Joel in a position where now he gets to be down. Because, if you're right and we're taking an episode off so we can do flashback to Ellie's life, there's no way he comes back in episode 8, la-di-da-di-do 100%. No. We get to see him be down. They're going to make it a point to let you know that he is down, that he is broken, he is wounded, and he's dependent on her. You know what I mean? So, and then if we wrap up the show right after that in episode 9, it's the big save with him and the Firefly scientist. And now my concern is how do they change that to make it that way she saves herself? Because I think they're changing the ending of this story. If game 1 is done in 3 episodes, I'm telling you they're going to change this. They 100% are going to change it. It's not going to come down to Joel's decision.
I still don't think it's going to be done. I think it's going to be further along. They're going to add more stuff to it. I'm cheating right now. I'm on IMDb and I'm looking at the pictures of the next
Total disclosure.
Dude,
dick move, dude. This is supposed to be completely blind.
Well, it only has one picture of each.
All right, never mind.
On the episode. And it doesn't even have the episode name, but I already know what the next one's going to be. If you watch to the past of credits, you'll know what the next episode is.
I did not. So were you right about the Ellie thing? Is that's a confirmed thing? Okay. All right, cool. That's okay. That's cool. That's not really a spoiler.
You see a picture of them in a mall.
Yep.
Like on
that's
a
what I said.
Thing.
That's right from the game. So that's a good sign.
So I think that's, the flashback Ellie story. I think this is when we'll actually see Ashley Johnson. Then on episode 8, there's a picture of 4 armed guys walking around. I believe that's Steve's group looking for Joel and Ellie. And episode 9 has a picture of Ellie, and it looks like springtime, and just like a close up, and like she's been through some stuff. Like she has a black eye.
That sounds like Cannibal Capture to me, because the cannibal bit isn't the end of the game. The end of the game is the Firefly scientist and Joel's decision. So are we thinking that it's going to wrap up with Joel waking up to her being, like episode 9 say, that Joel's going to finally snap out of his funk and realize Ellie's gone and he's got to track her down going into season 2 to rescue her from that cannibal group. And then half of season 2 might be the wrap up of game 1 and then an integration of story and characters from game 2.
So
something like that.
It'll probably you'll see a couple of the characters from game 2. Probably the daughter of the scientist.
That's Abby. Yep, that's the main.
You see Abby. Then you'll
that'll be an interesting casting choice.
And you probably see. So, if I have to build out season 2, which we're totally done with this episode, by the way, we're moving on.
Yeah, there's nothing else here.
So, season 2. You probably get them finishing off the cannibals and leaving there, and then getting to Salt Lake. Salt Lake will probably be a 3-episode setup of them getting in, trying to find the Fireflies. They'll probably put some type of obstacle in there, probably at the end of episode 1 that takes you through episode 2 and resolves at the beginning of episode 3. Then they find the Fireflies. Episode 3 would be, or the end of episode 3 would be like all hunky-dory, we found it, and they're like, talked about how great everything's going to be with the new vaccine. Episode 4 would be they reveal the truth of what's going to happen. Episode 5,
the cost of the vaccine. Yep.
They'll probably do something to incapacitate Joel, because they'll see that he's upset about it, and then it'll be him getting over the incapacitation, fighting through the fireflies, and making his choice, which would be to okay, we're going deep into spoilers here. Save Ellie.
Yep. At the expense of, obviously, the vaccine.
Yeah. And then it will probably be an episode of them coming back, him lying to her, and then getting back to Wyoming to Tommy. And that will end season 2, will be them getting back to the was it Jamestown or Johnstown or
Jackson? I think was on Jackson was on the sign.
Yeah,
Jackson. Yeah, or Jacksontown. Yeah, true, dude. I mean that's an interesting take on where they could go. I can't really pick that apart off the top of my head because I think it makes more logical consistency than what they're giving us here. Because I think they really accelerated their timeline down the stretch with this show, and like you said, I don't see how including anything from the second game makes this any better, just considering how divisive that it was. It's not as popular overall by any metric as the first game. Nobody dislikes the first game unless you dislike gameplay. Like the basics of gameplay mechanics are kind of what's the word I'm looking for? But there's nothing really innovative about the gameplay. You really are along for the ride, for the atmosphere, for the tension, for the story, because you like the characters. But it's basically Assassin's Creed with zombies. You're walking around, you're shanking zombies, you don't have any bullets. It's like Assassin's Creed, Resident Evil medley kind of thing. It's not the most complicated thing to play through.
Because that's the only one that was very repetitive. After that, Assassin's Creed 2.
Right. Assassin's Creed 2 is probably one of the best games ever made. But I think you're right. I think that down the stretch, this show is going to have to come up with increasingly more complicated B-plots to keep Joel out of the way until they get to that pivotal point of of game 2, where it's just no longer an issue for the obvious reason that I'm not even going to say out loud. But for the rest of this season, it sounds like he's already... they've already kind of relegated him to the shelf for at least an episode or 2. I mean, we know he's not in the next, or he'd have a minimal part in the next one, like you said. Probably just be there on his back somewhere, bleeding out.
Bandaged
and
up
then
in probably a shack somewhere.
In a shack or a shed, right? A shack or a cabin or whatever it was in the game.
I think it was a rundown barn in the game that they were living in.
It was something secluded and out of the way that they were safe in because they were there for a hot minute. They were there for a while. So. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's I feel like we waited the extra wait to get to this episode this week, and there's just I don't know. It's there was nothing to that. But maybe we should save that for we'll just jump right into final thoughts or something, because I have nothing else for assault. This is a very lackluster assault mode, so I apologize. Although I feel like I brought some anger to it for a change on the show. So I don't know. Let's get a
lesson out of it about government. So
yeah, there you go. A little government, little civics, things like that. Brought to you by King Z. We can do that.
I am a political science major.
There it is.
One
final
of my
thoughts?
5 college degrees. Yes, I have 5 of them.
He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. There you go. So, dude, final thoughts. Why don't we do that? We got a cute little graphic for that. I like mentioning the graphic because I think they're fun. So let's do that.
I say we take off, nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Yeah, dude. Final thoughts here. Quick, to the point. I'm out. I'm gonna rate this the lowest outside of episode 3. This is a 2 out of 5 because it's like you said, dude. Its production value is consistently the same. It's high quality. It's shot beautifully. There's a number of good shots that we talked about with the mounted troops coming over the horizon at them early on is good. The wilderness, the winter wilderness is always near and dear to my heart. I love that kind of imagery in the stuff I write and the stuff I watch. I love the look, the feel, the bleakness, the fresh air. I could smell it watching the show. They also had that shot where they were entering the town and the camera's looking straight down and they're kind of riding under the gate to get in. I'm I love just stuff that's off the wall like that. I like some of the other set pieces that they had going on. They kind of had the town hall, the bar set up with the white Christmas lights, kind of the tavern, but it was the community mess hall, lots of tables lined up, and that's where people gathered and communed. So I like the ambiance of that. I love movie night. That's old school community. That's also kind of World War Z-ish, where that was one of the vignettes was about somebody had a DVD player and they had one movie that they played, but it was the community night that everybody got together. So it's very old school. I kind of like that. Final thought visually for something else that I noticed. Did you notice that the clothing Maria gave Ellie to change into, that the pink and the white shirt and the eggplant colored jacket, right? When Ellie's at movie night, she's the only person in the room wearing anything that isn't a muted color, which I thought was subtly interesting. Because she's the only person that's immune. All the people in the background watching the movie are all in like dark clothes, grays, nothing standing out. I was like, okay, kind of cool. And then again with the bedroom that they give her, it's very much a teenage girl's bedroom. There's pink and white wallpaper. Yeah. There's white furniture, frilly, lacy pillows over here and over there. And she even kind of rips on it a little bit, which was kind of funny when she's reading the diary, where she's like, is this all they had to worry about? Was like, if this boy likes me and like which shirt to wear with this skirt or whatever. So I mean, there was enough visually interesting things here that are kind of right in line with how the rest of this show goes. So all that's there. The music was good again at the points it needed to be good. There was good tension near the end. Although it was brief, maybe that whole part could have been longer with them being kind of stalked through the University of Colorado by the 4 dudes on patrol from whatever group. Like that was over way too quick, resolved way too quickly. We could have cut out all that communism talk and just had a longer chase scene, because in the game that's a significant portion where you have to like sneak through the classrooms through like holes in the wall. A fire goes off over here. There are infected there that kind of provide a barrier between. It makes it kind of a triangle battle between you, infected, and whatever group that was. So I mean, there were things that they deviated way too much from what they could have done that would have made it more entertaining. So I gotta rate this one low, dude. Again, so I'm gonna give it the 2 out of 5 for me. I know you're feeling a little bit higher on it, so why don't you give me some thoughts on the score?
All right, so going into this, I carried the same expectations I have for the whole series. Just watching, let it tell me story. I did like you said, the visuals of the town. I would have liked more information of like how they got the town. One of the things I liked about certain zombie apocalypse type games or apocalypse type stories is watching them start the small area. Like she said, like we start with like a handful of people and then we got others and stuff like that. Doing the scrounging, going out there doing the pillaging, finding what they can, right into town, grab what they can, get out, rebuild your stockpile, find the lost knowledge. I think a lot of these stories don't really play on the lost knowledge. Like people might have forgotten like how to make certain things, how to do certain things. We rely on manufacturing. What if all the people who know how to do that manufacturing are gone? So focusing on a little of the lost knowledge, grading libraries, getting books, learning how to redo things. Just not like, it's been 20 years. Do you think someone really remembered how to make a hydroelectric dam or how to reconnect the hydroelectric dam? Or did they have to go raid a town and get a library book and figure out how to raid a hydroelectric dam to get power?
Right.
So I think that little bit is missing, but that's just personal stuff I like. I like deeper stuff. If you ask people like what type of video games I like the 4X brains high strategy games because it makes me think. It's not just run around, shoot, die, repeat.
Yeah.
Acting, I think, was on par. I do believe the writing got a little lazy in this one because of giving Ellie such a foul mouth that she didn't have throughout the whole thing. Like, she had moments, but this one was like she threw it in like every sentence for no apparent reason with no set expletive that like it shouldn't just be used. I said this before on the show. Shouldn't be used just to be used. It should be an explicitive. Like it should be like that big hint.
Exclamation point.
Yeah. It shouldn't be every word, or it has to be in every sentence. That's just lazy writing.
And let me say right there, King Z, let me just say right there, you're consistent on that point too, because you remember if we run it back to our Andor show, Marva's big speech at the end at her funeral speech was supposed to initially having ended with her uttering the line, "Fuck the Empire," and how ridiculously out of place that would have felt, for like an Americanized F-bomb to show up in a Star Wars show. And they wisely veered away from that. So I mean, to your point here, I think this show's gone the other way in this episode where you can dot every now and again, you dot the I with an F-bomb. It's like, okay, people talk like that, I talk like that, but I can get through a sentence without dropping it as an adjective, an adverb, a noun, and a preposition, or an adverb, because, I understand my language. So just to your point, I wanted to point out that we're consistent on, it's not all of a sudden we're prudish because it's this character in this show, and I in particular have gripes with some messaging. It's just we're consistent on this stance. It is lazy. It's what you write when you can't think of a better way to express anything in that moment.
Yeah, and it's just lazy writing, because some people talk like that, but not generally, not when they're in companies of others. And maybe they try to do it a little bit when they're eating, because she doesn't know how to be around others.
Right.
So that could have been a thing. And like Joel trying to manners, and like, well, there's manners.
Yep.
And it's like, well, we're kind of the freak show right now because we're new.
And we're guests here. And they have our guns. There's that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you kind of, when you're a guest, your expectation of behavior is a little bit higher. And it should be your own expectation of your own behavior is a little bit higher when you're a guest.
Right. And it's not exactly like this chick's been raised by wolves. Like, she was in like a government school with rigid rules, and it was basically like military school, like a Fedra camp. It wasn't like summer camp out on the lake. So I'm quite certain there was some element of discipline applied there at some point, in proper etiquette and behavior, during meals and such. But anyway, so that was a gripe on the writing for sure. But yeah, go on if you got more for the final, please. Or give me a score if you're done.
Going into it to this, my scores. At least I had cheesecake.
Dude, see? Dude, that betrays your initial earlier assessment that this was as good as some of the better episodes. Because the better episodes, you'd have given your 4 or 4.5.
It's right down the middle. It is an average.
So 2.5?
And
3?
Whatever the best is, it's like dead center. Whatever.
We're doing 5s. I think we've been doing 5s.
2.5. 3.
All right, so I gave it a 2, so 2.5 is not much better than my absolute savaging of this episode, guy. I don't know. Maybe you're being a little too.
You can enjoy it. You can enjoy the small things of it and like
True.
it, but not give it a high rating because it doesn't keep up with what's expected. What we've come to expect.
That's a good point. That's a fair qualifier, I think, too.
Especially when it started off on such a firecracker in the first 2 episodes. Then we have the speed bump that is episode 3.
Yeah.
Which I'll talk to you after we get done. After rewatching it, I have some more points on it.
Feel free to add them here if you need an addendum, because I had my episode 3 addendum. Do we need to do a break-in graphic for updated take?
I was watching it with my wife.
Updated take.
And we were watching it, and she's like, "Yeah, it's a great story." And then she realizes that they both die, and she's like, "So what's the point?"
Dude, that's the criticism.
Like,
that's been part of the criticism. She's right.
If it was their story, and then one of them continued on with them or had a bitter out, it would have made a lot more sense. But they both died, so we watched something that really didn't make sense, and that was the whole thing. It had nothing to do with the content of the episode, or that they were homosexuals. It had the fact that it had nothing to do with the plot.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's this episode is that episode, more or less. It's Joel and Ellie going somewhere and acquiring a ride. That's it. That's all. In that episode, it was a truck. In this episode, it's a horse. That's it. They leave each episode in exactly the same way. They're resupplied. They have guns. They're moving west. They got the truck by doing nothing of it. They accomplished. They overcame no obstacles to get Bill's truck. They just got it. Right? There were no infected along the way. There were no humans along the way. Ellie didn't, twist her ankle and need to be carried through like a dangerous swamp with wolves running around. There was none of that. This episode was exactly the same way. Joel and Ellie were walking west. They met people that they stole from, right?
Yeah.
They stole from them. They were picked up by Maria and her troops, given everything they needed, did nothing, made no choices, overcame no obstacles. I guess maybe somebody will probably say, "Oh, Joel overcame himself," But like they did nothing, and then they were given everything they needed, right down to boots, horses, and guns, to keep going west.
Yep.
Having done nothing. Dude, I don't know. I mean, at its basic level, what did we see here? I mean, like you could argue, like, and this is probably I know you pretty well. I think your take on it would be we got to see Ellie be a little vulnerable twice when she cried about Joel possibly not going with her. She shoved him. She's like, I fucking needed you or whatever. And then when he's wounded at the end and she's like in fear for her life now for both of them.
Which
and then we get
her biggest fear, which we saw in episode
being
5,
abandoned.
Being alone.
Right. And then we get the bit where Pedro Pascal gets to condense decades worth of personal trauma, grief, and loss into being wishy-washy, and I'm past my prime. But dude, I'll tell you, I didn't say this earlier. I'll say it here. The part that pisses me off about all of that, right, is that he specifically had to point out that he needed her to save him in Kansas City. Like yes, that's how it happened, but he had to say that, and then he had to layer on the other 46 different things that he had to say to paint himself in the world's shittiest light, and it just didn't sit right. And then you follow that up with it borders on ridiculous that like I have this big door slamming thing where I'm like, tomorrow we're going our separate ways. Rawr, you're not my daughter. Rawr. And literally he's there waiting the next day. I was going to take a horse and go. I was going to steal it and go, but I've been here a half hour because I figured you deserved a choice. Wait, what?
Yeah, I can't really fault him for that because.
Oh, dude, no. You don't give her a choice. You either say I changed my mind, I'm going. Fuck you, Tommy. Go back and be a father to your kid that you're expecting, or you take the horse and go, and you come across them later and you have to save them. Like, he needs to be the hero.
For this story, yeah, but for the part where he's talking, I do understand it as someone who goes through a lot of mental anxiety about himself and hates himself a lot.
Oh yeah, dude, it's authentic, sure. Yeah, dude, it's authentic. Like it's authentic, but it's just not Joel. It's just not. Yeah. Like he won't have that. He shouldn't. I say he won't. He shouldn't have that breakdown moment. If it does happen, it happens later after he's wounded, when he can't get up and go do the hunting or protect her when they come under fire at their camp. It doesn't come when he's walking on his own 2 feet and can still shoot. It's a matter of timing for that kind of breakdown happens. Like, he doesn't get here to a sibling he hasn't seen. How many years did they say it was? Like 7 years, 8 years, something like that. It's been a while. It's not like Tommy just left. They've been estranged for half the pandemic. Or half the world after, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So, like, hey, here's this kid. Yeah, she's immune. You know what that means. But you just told me you're having a kid. Cool, I'm gonna steal your horse. I'm out. No, dude, no. I just don't. The emotions were fine. Just like Bill and Frank. The emotions are all fine. That story idea is fine, but it's not. It's at the wrong time frame here. And again, like you said with the Bill and Frank thing, since they're both dead at the end of that, really all you did was take their truck. So really all Joel did here was show up, eat a couple meals, take a shower, probably get some boots. The boots were clutch, and then take a horse. That's it. He didn't help him fight off any attackers. He didn't go, raid a mall with their like scavenger group to bring back something they needed. Like maybe they had a sick kid that needed insulin or antibiotics or whatever. Like one of their power things didn't explode and Joel has to fight a fire that Tommy's wounded in, so he has to. Dude, there's a million things going on up here right now, and I'm like, dude, but they did King Z, they did none of them, not one. Like this was a CW show today, where it's feelings around a campfire, feelings at the bar, feelings in the metal shop, feelings on horseback, like, but nobody did anything. Feelings in a bedroom. Feelings while getting a haircut, I mean, the only compelling part of that entire section was her seeing Sarah's, rest in peace date up on the above the fireplace.
Yeah, the chalkboard. Kenny and
but again, we're never seeing Maria and Tommy again. I think you're right about this. I think we're full steam ahead going west. That's it. So that was all pointless. All of it. The communism bullshit, Jacksontown. They could have found Tommy in a tent on the side of the road with his wife, 9 months pregnant and ready to pop. And it'd have been the exact same moment, the exact same setup and execution. So I don't know, man. So yeah, all right. So you're 2.5. I'm 2. Dude, I'm done here today for sure, dude. Because the more I talk about this, when we talk again next week, I'm gonna be even angrier about this episode. I can feel it. I'm gonna go back and take notes. I'm gonna do a rewatch of my own. All right, I'm gonna go write some notes down this time because I didn't get to do the notes thing again today. With Winter Wolf Pup issues. But I'll take some notes. I'll either get you on a quick episode, like a addendum. I'll have to do a graphic for an addendum or an updated hot take thing. We'll throw that in there when we need it. You got any closing words for our people that hung through this long? We managed to stretch this longer than the episode, and it just wasn't that engaging an episode.
We stretched and
we did.
Been out here for a while. And if you've been here this whole time, I think we're looking at about an hour 7 right now. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like. It helps out the channel. It helps us out. I mean, we're not here making anything off this. We're doing this for fun.
Big fun.
So
love it.
Go ahead, get us in the algorithm. Let other people see what we're putting out there for everybody. We're probably going to keep this going even after the show. We'll probably start throwing out like certain one-shot movies that we did, maybe just a weekly.
We got a few.
Just about life. We'll see what we can do with this. And of course,
we're doing the horror movie thing, dude. We're definitely doing the horror movie bracket. I don't want to cut you off, but I'm sticking to that idea. I want to do that. Horror movie bracketology happening.
Down in the comment section, answer about your favorite breakfast food, and also answer if you want to see us do a live show right after the season finale.
Yeah, we need to do that.
March 12th.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea to wrap up a show and just move the channel forward into the next series we cover. We should talk about that offline at some point too, because I don't see anything on the Marvel docket. I was just hearing today that the Marvels movie is now bumped to November. If you didn't see that, and the Ironheart Disney Plus series that was supposed to be next has also been, I think, bumped way down the line into 2023. So there's things are shaking up over there. There's probably some stuff we can talk about at Disney, Marvel, Star Wars coming through. Dude, Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah,
Mando season 3 starts.
Coming out. Yeah, that's starting
in a couple weeks.
You have
I think it's March 1st.
That just came out. And of course,
which I heard, dude. I heard that's not doing so well. So I mean, that could be a one-off quick talk we do too.
And
Quantumania.
And also, we're supposed to be getting some big news on who's going to don the cowl and who's going to don the S.
Wait, what? James Gunn's? James Gunn's talking about his castings?
Yeah.
Dude, interesting, because
who is Superman and Batman going to be the two focal points of the DC universe.
The last thing I heard about that is he's going young, and that the talk was he might be doing Jonathan Kent and not Clark. So that could be really interesting going down the line. So guys, we'll take a look at that for sure.
Yeah, and then of course we got Flashpoint, which they're going to use Flashpoint exactly how I said they're going to use Flashpoint as
boycott
the
for me
reset.
Though. Yeah. That's getting a Winter Wolf boycott, though. I'm not paying for tickets to that. You can't not have Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck. You can't not bring back Gal Gadot going forward. Oh. And you can't. And you already said there's a no to Cavill. There's not going to be a Man of Steel 2. This is a reboot in James Gunn's image. You cannot keep Ezra fucking Miller as the Flash. I don't care what it would cost you. The guy's a piece of shit. Sorry, not sorry. He just is. Horrible human being, dude. Horrible human being. Don't care that he got off on all his bullshit charges. I don't care. The court of public opinion roasts other people all the time. He's not entitled to special protections because of a box he only started checking when the legal shit started to pile up. He can piss right off. I'm not paying to see that shit. If somebody out there wants to send me a little gift card to go see it, that's on you. One of my brothers wants to take me to see it, that's fine. We'll talk about it. But there's no way Winter Wolf's breaking it out.
It's going to be out
I mean,
we on HBO Max after it's released.
Nah, dude, they've gotten wise to that. You're going to be waiting about 90 days to see that shit after launch now on HBO Max.
That's pretty cool. The only reason I want to see it is because Michael Keaton's back.
Dude, I know. Dude, 2 minutes before we go. What slays me about this movie is it sounds like On the Ground, because I follow enough shit online to keep up on what's happening there, and a lot of the rumors, they line up with multiple sourcing and things like that on really good channels like Valiant Renegade and a couple of other ones that really seem to get in the weeds to the behind the scenes. Apparently the movie is not bad, that Ezra Miller actually does a good job playing 3 different versions of himself in the film, that the cameos from all the multiversal figures are good, that they actually pulled off significant reshoots to make this a good movie. You know what I'm saying? And it's all wasted because this dipshit who nobody liked as the Flash in the first place, who apparently can act dramatically when required, is who he is off screen in real life. So it really just chaps my ass. Chaps it. To just not be in a position where I want to go see it opening weekend and then do a show on it. So maybe I'll just con one of my younger brothers into taking me, eat the cost of the ticket. But there's no way cash is coming out of my wallet to do it. There's just no way. Not happening. Dude, but I think we're going to get out of here, guys. I got to go get a late night snack. King Z looks like he needs a snack. He's going to finish his dessert. At Winter Wolfstone on Twitter. I don't think we're doing much with the Instagram yet. I have to go check a couple things, but I'll always follow the channel. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you guys next week. King Z, I'm glad you're home, buddy. We'll sort out this DMZ thing soon. Laters.